What's up, guys? Alec Torelli. Another awesome hand today from High Stakes Fridays on Live at the Bike. 50, 100, 200, no limit hold'em. The stakes are real, and I find myself in a really tough spot in today's hand of the day. I'm going to walk you through my thought process, and it's a little bit abstract because I use a lot of emotion and intuition. Not emotion, excuse me, opposite of emotion. I use a lot of intuition and gut instinct when I'm playing poker, and I'd like to explore the relationship between logic and intuition in this hand of the day with you. And most notably, I'd like you guys to start thinking about something, and I'd like to start asking, participate in a conversation with you guys and ask, what do you use more of at the poker table? Do you use logic or intuition? Do you use game theory or gut instinct when it comes to making big, high-level decisions? So I'd like to walk you through this hand of the day and kind of talk you through some of the logic about the decision, and then also a little bit about my instinct insofar as you can describe that with words.
Hand of the day.
500. $1,300.
And Martin with another light 3-bet here from the small blind with Jack Deuce off. And Alec with Ace-9 of clubs on the button. Art with Ace-10 off in the third blind. He's going to fold. And Alec getting a great price in position.
Call. Heads up.
We're playing 50, 100, 200, no limit hold'em, and just to kind of paint the picture, I'm on the button in this hand, but the opponent that I'm playing against in the small blind, I know absolutely nothing about. He just sits down, he's never played before, he buys in for 10K, which is a short buy given that we're playing 50 big blinds. It's a lot of money, but it's a short buy-in for this game. Everybody's sitting, I have 40,000. Everybody's sitting pretty deep in this game. So my initial impression is this guy's taking a shot. I assume my read on the situation is that he's like a 10-20 player and he just wants to play on television or on the big stage. Maybe he wants to play with someone in the game and he's taking a shot in the game. So I feel like that's either going to make him do one of two things. My experience with people taking shots is they either play super solid tight or they just go bonkers maniac and just do crazy stuff because they just kind of like feel like they need to do crazy stuff to win at a higher level. What I think you should do is just play your own game. What people do in practice is often different. I have no idea what this guy's going to do because I've never played with him before. This is literally like the first hand I've seen him play. So let's see. I raised to 500 on the button. And he worked his stack up, I think, to 17,000 in this hand. He 3-bets me now to, 1,300 in the small blind. So he's coming out repping strong right out of the gate. And while I'm probably not going to play back at him just because I don't know his style, I don't really know what he's going to do, I'm not expecting him to have what he has. I'm not expecting him to have the Jack Deuce offsuit. So it's easy to kind of look at this hand in hindsight and say, well, he's crazy, he has Jack Deuce off. But remember, I didn't know that. For all I know, his range could be like aces, kings, queens, ace, king, and jacks. Like, he could be that type of player. So I have ace-9 suited here. I have an easy call. Some could argue that you could 4-bet this hand some of the time, but against a player I have no idea about and I've never really played against, I'm just going to play this hand as a call on the button, take it to the flop, and play with caution. I call, we go heads up to the flop.
And top pair with a backdoor flush draw for Alec. Martin basically drawing dead.
You weren't even looking at the flop, right? You're like, maybe he won't see me.
Oh, guys, 1,500. This game is rake free, guys.
I got Samus out too.
Oh, wait. 15 more. Call.
With a flop of ace-8-8 rainbow, I flop top pair with a backdoor flush draw. He bets out 1,500, and I have a very easy call here. I'm definitely ahead of his range, and I'm even ahead of some of the hands he's value betting. Maybe he's going to value bet something like kings. Maybe he's going to bet with like ace-4 suited. I also have a backdoor flush draw. My kicker plays. I have a very easy call here when he bets half pot on the flop. Not too much to say. I call the flop, and we go heads up to the turn.
Five of clubs on the turn now gives Alec the nut flush draw along with his top pair.
Bet 3,000.
And Martin is going to fire 3K on the turn with Jack high.
It's actually 5 more.
Alec, of course, going nowhere.
Thank you. Bet is 3,000. Call.
The turn brings me a flush draw, coming the 5 of clubs. Now, when he bets 3,000 here, it's a half pot size bet, so I would probably call again even if the turn didn't bring a club, just because he bet so small. I don't need to be right that often here to justify calling, and calling the turn also protects my range, as I could call the turn with some 8s as well. But when the turn comes a flush draw, I have an extremely easy call. Not only am I ahead of some of his bluffs, maybe he's bluffing with like King Jack of clubs, Jack 10 of clubs, or pure air, but now I have a flush draw to go along with it, so if I am behind when he has something like ace king, I could pick up a reasonable amount of rivers that can improve my hand to 2 pair or a flush. I call the turn, we go to the river where things get interesting.
Seven on the river. Will Martin go for it? He's got a pot-sized bet left.
Who did Lakers play next? Huh? Who did Lakers play next?
11,900 in the pot. Martin has 11,600 in his stack.
He comes back.
Does he have the heart for the triple barrel here?
Bet is 5,000.
5,000, less than half pot.
The river comes down to 7, and he starts tanking before he decides what to do. And as he's tanking, right here, he kind of starts to like change his demeanor and starts shuffling his chips, looking at the board. To me, I don't know why there wasn't like a specific tell that he gave away. It wasn't like he touched his arm, and it wasn't as cliche as what you see in rounders, like he twisted his Oreo and I knew he was bluffing. But the way his demeanor changed in this spot led me to believe that his thought process was, should I go for a bluff or not? I don't know why I got that read, but I did. I had that gut instinct inside when he changed his demeanor right there during that 5-second clip. And so that made me think that he was bluffing, that he didn't have a strong hand on the river. And so when he goes out and bets 5,000, I understand logically that I really shouldn't be calling here, because this is one of the worst hands that I can have. In fact, if you look at my range and the types of hands I get to the river here with, what is worse than ace-9 of clubs? Maybe ace-4 of clubs, ace-3 of clubs, ace-deuce of clubs. I don't really have any worse hands here. And I have a lot of better hands to choose from. I have ace-queen, I have ace-jack, I have ace-10, I have 8x, I have ace-8, I have quads. I have a lot of better hands to choose from here that I can call this river with or jam with. So this is one of the worst hands I can have, which means I should be folding from a game theory standpoint. So logic says to fold. And right away, I'm aware of that. I've ran the numbers many times. Like in spots like these, it's easy to kind of understand where you're at in your range and figure, not easy, but it's intuitive to understand that you have better hands to choose from than ace-9 to call with, right? That this is not one of the better hands I can have. I don't have to call this river to protect my range. In fact, if I call the river with ace-9, I'm pretty much never folding the river. So I should be folding some of the time here from a logical standpoint. But when I have an intuitive read, it doesn't change the types of hands like specifically that he can have, but it changes my read on the situation. So in a way, it makes his range in my mind go from mostly weighted towards value to mostly weighted towards bluffs. And if you look at how the math explains that situation, when his range is mostly weighted towards value, I should be folding ace-9. And without any information, that's what I'm going to do. If I'm playing against a robot like Liberatus the robot, I'm going to fold ace-9 here because I'm not going to have any reads on him. But when my read is that someone is weak, now his range in my mind shifts more towards bluffs, and my equity against a bluff is very high, even if I'm wrong some of the time. Maybe his range is more polar when I read it like this, and maybe he has something like aces full or quads or ace-8 and bluffs, and he kind of shifts that way to like let off energy, and he's doing that with the stone friggin' nuts or nothing. But when you look at my equity versus that range, it's pretty high. I block aces, and like there's just not that many combos of super value hands. So in my mind, it makes this situation difficult, not because I don't know how to analyze the spot, but because you're really left with a choice. And happens often to you guys in poker. You're left with a choice between what to listen to. Should you listen to your gut instinct, or should you listen to your rational mind? Should you consciously crunch the numbers and go through all the math of the situation, or should you listen to your intuition that tells you something else? This is just me talking. This is my experience. In my life, when I look at the best decisions I made in my life, when I look at the best decisions I made in poker for playing in high-stakes games in Macau when millions of dollars are on the line, and I'm making a huge decision for lots of money, the times I make the best decisions in life are when I trust my gut. When I have a read and I just have the balls to execute and go with it, aside from what my conscious mind is saying. It's when I could silence the voice inside my head and say, you know what? There's something that I could pick up here that I can't quantify. It's millions of data points and millions of years of evolution of your subconscious mind inferring information about a situation that your conscious mind just can't process that quickly. And when I allow myself to trust my reads and intuition, I make great decisions at the poker table. And the times that I don't and I override my intuition with logic, I end up paying the price. In this spot here, when I'm thinking on the river, it's really trying to silence the voice inside my head and just give myself the courage to trust my intuition to make the play that I know I should probably make, even though on paper it doesn't make sense. That's my thought process in these situations. That's what I go through in these spots. That's how I make decisions at high levels in poker. I know that's a little counterculture in a world where we're talking a lot about game theory and math and big data, and that's becoming like the way that everyone's sort of trained to be algorithmic to think about poker. But I still personally believe at a live poker table, when the pressure's on in a high stakes environment, especially on something like television, when you're in a situation like this, people are going to give off reads. And if you can pick up on those reads, you're going to play better than the opponents. And you should use that information to make the best decision possible. That's what I believe. That's how I teach poker. And to a large extent, it's using a combination of game theory and logic and intuition and gut instinct to put these two things together and make the best decision possible with the information you have. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like more from me and learn a little bit more about my thought process and how I make decisions, along with my step-by-step process for making decisions in every hand of poker I play, it's absolutely free. Head over to consciouspoker.com, click the link below in this video, and you can subscribe, enter your name and email, and we'll send you an awesome PDF about how I make decisions at the poker table in big spots like these. So I hope you enjoy that. Some more awesome free content coming your way if you want it. Otherwise, just subscribe to my channel. More awesome content coming here from Conscious Poker YouTube. It's totally free for you guys, and I really hope this helps you take your game to the next level. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.